Make a U-turn. In 1,000 feet, slide left, take the next left, sharp left, turn right on, continue on, in a quarter mile, at the light, in 600 feet, turn right on.
You have reached your destination.
Yup. Okay, let me see, let me tell you what you're looking at. Obviously that's the trunk, and I have sanded down, filled in, and leveled out all kinds of stuff using fiberglass and just a skiff of Bondo in there to fill in those little tiny holes. This door. Well, maybe that's okay. Maybe, fuck. That's not, yeah, I gotta redo that one. Fuck. Maybe here. That's okay. Well, I don't know. Yeah, gotta do that one too. Son of a bitch. Well, I was gonna crow and brag and ha ha ha, I'm done, but I'm not. Clearly, this one is done. At least it's done enough to clear off, reprime, and then start to block sand. Okay. In fact, I may just do that on this one because. Here, let me tell you what you're looking at. You see how it's nice and kind of milky, and then it gets a little bit darker in here. That denotes a low spot. Okay, and the same thing here. I should have seen that earlier, but shame on me. Here's the hood. The front end is nice and smooth and nicely rounded where it should be, and a couple of pinprick holes in the fiberglass with Bondo, and I'm filling those in. I've worked and I dorked this thing up. So I took off all the fiberglass, started over, and re-put it on. So I had a pretty low spot, not a low spot, but low enough where I could feel it, see it, sense it. And then everything you're looking at here, I over bondoed to fill in little pinprick holes. Looks like I missed some. I had to put some more in there. That's okay. Same thing here. Okay, I've now gotten into the fenders and I'm finishing off this. This is smooth and nice, but again, some pinprick holes and some imperfections that I'm working on. So the imperfections are tiny, and that's going to be a bondoed out, right? Fender, no big deal. I scraped off some, or sanded out some low spots. See another one there. That'll be probably bondoed in. And then again, I'm producing these things as I'm sending things down, and I'm filling them with Bondo. Okay. It's a fiberglass fender, so no big deal. That one, you can see I'm also fiberglassing in that fake seam on the front. I don't like that seam. I think it looks silly. I may need to put more in there as I think maybe once I sand off all of the excess here, I may find that the seam is filled nicely. And so forth with the rest of it. Okay. I've begun to fill in some areas that were imperfect on the radius of the windshield frame. I'll sand those out by hand because they're just a little skiff of what do you call it? Fiberglass. And that's it. Plus that right there. The rear is good, and everything else is okay. Okay, so now throughout the course of any bodywork expose, you'll find imperfections. There's a small one I'll need to sand out. Here's a small one I'll need to sand out. Here's some, where is it? You can kind of see it there. I'll sand that out. I'll sand that out. On and on and on. And this is the stuff that takes not a long time, but long enough. You know what I'm saying? Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And that means that I've got, oh gosh, maybe a day on the fenders and those little puppies up there, the rears, and finishing off this and finishing off this one here that I want to redo a little bit, or add some more stuff to it. Right, so I'm not too far away from what I would call stage 2 priming, okay? Stage 2 priming, stage 1 priming is I wet sand everything here and get it to a nice even, I'm looking for something, where did I put that? A nice even level. Now, I get a lot of crap about why do you wet sand? That's nonsense. This is why you wet sand. If you don't wet sand, there you go. If you don't wet sand, the primer will quickly block up your sanding disc. And then what you're doing is not sanding, you're just putting these swirly marks everywhere, and it's a bad thing. Okay, so wet sanding good, dry sanding bad. So that's it for now. I'll let this cure overnight since I've got something I've got to get done, and I'll fill in those 2 areas and get those done, and that's it for now. Jesus, every time I find an issue that I fix, everything's good to go, and I find a new issue that I fix, and then a new issue that I fix again. So I'm gonna call this fixed, although I'm gonna point out some issues I need to show. Right there, center screen, a little bit of a divot, a hole. Some divots and holes. Some of that will get filled in with epoxy primer once I put a couple coats on. Some of it will not. I really just want to move on to the next stage, okay? As evidenced by this. So I've done a little bit of hole fills, a little bit of sanding down. I need to measure this and see if that's going to be for a mirror or not. I think it is, but nice and smooth down. Some things I fixed in there, on and on and on. Oh yeah, gotta sand that down. That's 10 minutes, if that. And then the other fender, the doors. The one I dorked up yesterday is done and finished. And that, and in there, and on in the other side. Okay, so I have not finished the rear fenders because I forgot about them. I don't know how I could do that, but I did. Where is that? I want to find. Damn it, where is that stuff? I'm looking here on my. Here it is, tack cloth. So what I'm going to do before I respray all these things, I'm going to wipe it down with some basic towel paper, get all the dust off. I'm going to vacuum it off. Then I'm going to use what's called tack cloth. Okay, I think I've shown you this before. Tack cloth is a great dust, dirt, gunk remover. Not gunk, but mainly dust, right? It's got a little bit of a wax impregnated with a mesh-like fabric. And it feels tacky to your skin, but leaves no residue to the surface that you're preparing. So, I'm going to wipe all this stuff down. Whoops. I'm going to tack cloth it. I'm going to vacuum it. I'm going to get rid of all the dust and put another layer of epoxy primer on there that I will then block sand with prodigious amounts of water. And I'm going to make this look really nice. I think, I'm just thinking out loud, I spent an inordinate amount of time on my Roadster for the bodywork. And I see a lot of flaws that I wish I would have taken closer attention toward. Nah, such is life though, right? So, but I'm learning, the what if I could have, should have lessons that I'm applying to this puppy. So, next step, I am going to block sand all of this, right? I'm going to block sand the inside of just the fender arches. Rough them up a little bit so that I've got some mechanical adhesion to the next step. Same thing in the back. I will spend zero time making any major changes, issues, or sanding to the inside of the body parts that you are not going to see, except for things like, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can. A little bit of a run there. I'll smooth that out. But I'll spend some time on the inside of the engine bay. I see some drips. That's easy to sand down. I see some things I still need to fix, which is where I joined the nose to the new nose to the body. That's easy to do. And then block sanding other oopses and what the fuckeries and waves and that kind of stuff all throughout the body. I am, Jesus Christ, so wet sanding this thing is going to be, a day, if that. That'll be a day after work, really. And then I put another layer of epoxy primer on it. I block sand that, and I am no shit ready for paint. I've got to pick out a paint color too. I'm sort of undecided as to whether I do any work filling in those divots. I think I'm going to, if nothing more than just to make it look nice. I need to put some filler in there now and just let it harden and then sand it out. Yeah, anyway. But the body is so good, like I've said before, it's in such fine shape that my need to do major issues with it is zero. Zero. So, yeah. So the next step is to, of course, like I say, paint this. I'm gonna epoxy prime one layer and let it sit and kind of soak into the fiberglass and the little bit of Bondo that you see there. Bondo, if you're so curious, look for the lighter color. The darker green is the fiberglass. The lighter stuff is the Bondo. So there's not much Bondo. A lot of fiberglass. Fiberglass will soak in epoxy primer, so will Bondo. And I'll let that stay and cure for quite some time. Put another coat on, let that stay and cure, and see if I can see any changes in color and so forth, to see how much got soaked in and how much hasn't. How does that feel? A little bit of work in there to do. So, there you have it. Next step is repriming.